Okay, one new draft coming up. In this one I think I might talk more about the reasons for why I pick a player. I'll start with the reasons for why I pick a formation. I've been playing sort of 4-3-3 based formations all the way through over the last 4-5 drafts I've done, and I think it's time I do something different. I usually pick something where I can get a good chance at left wingers and right wingers, but I want to avoid that this time. So 4-2-3-1 wide, completely different to how I normally play. Two central defensive midfielders, very wide formation. Let's try something completely different and be forced to experiencing FIFA in a slightly different way. So first player, again trying to pick things slightly different from how I've been doing it. Look, I regretted not taking Liverpool players last time. Let's stick Mane. He's going to be out of position in the left midfield role as a left winger, but if we're going to play really wide, then let's see how wide we can get with wingers instead of midfielders. And I'm going to need a big tall striker, I think, to put all these crosses in. So, okay, it's pretty much ultimate version of Pulisic. I really like him. His pace is amazing, and just the story of this talented American player making his way through the top end of European football. America's had so many sort of great hopes, but he really is the proper technical deal, and really proving it on the higher stage. So there we go. We've got a Liverpool, Borussia Dortmund sort of Klopp-based midfield so far. I'm scared about which one of these I'll do next. I'll try the striker. I really do want a big, tall target man to whip stuff in if we're going to play wide. And I've got kind of the opposite, a skillful running centre forward. I did really enjoy the goals he scored this week in real life, so let's whack him in there. Not really thinking about chemistry yet. In fact, I've done really badly in chemistry so far. So let's see if this central attacking midfielder who links to 5 players can give me something fun. The icon card usually draws your eye first. I don't know Litmanen that well. I know of him, but I don't have any sort of attachment to him in any way. But there's no real reason not to take him there. I like De Bruyne. I love the World Cup that he had, but I'm going to go with the icon. The other thing, the icons have chemistry links to all players around them. So even though he's Finnish and his country and club, his team and his country is Finland, his team is icon, and his I can't spell it out. His league is icon as well. He has good links. In fact, he's got 10 chemistry, and he gives good links to the players around him. So that icon is basically a wild card that helps everybody, which is a good player to have in that 5-way linking spot. Now these CDMs also link with 4 players, which is quite important. So let's see what they throw up. So this is a very average kind of selection, so you really should be focusing on chemistry in case I'm stuck with one of these and they end up being used more for their chemistry than their real abilities. That said, that is some spectacular hair, letting his soul shine through there, his soul glow hair. So I might just go with that on the strength of the hair and hope for better on the other CDM. Bad news is it's not any better. The even worse news is that the hair is generically awful on all 5 of them, not really saved by facial hair. That's a terrible collection. So it's going to be a Borussia Dortmund player just for the fact that maybe we have to use them. We can link them up with Pulisic. Let's hope for better in the backs, because that was quite disappointing in the defensive midfielders. Well, the backs have immediately got better. If we're going to play wide, really you're not going to do better than Marcelo bombing down that wing. The Brazilian link might yet work in if we swap. No, I can't swap yet. No, we can swap. There we go. So that link obviously works a lot better with a Brazilian there and the Dortmund players together. Let's try this right back. It'll be interesting to see how it plays playing so wide when I'm not used to playing quite that wide. There's a clear best player here, and I'll take him for that reason. Let's check these centre backs. Okay, another clear best player, and a possible link if we move him over to that side once we get a second centre back in to allow that swap. But it's quite a formidable back two anyway between those two. This is less formidable, and I mean less than 80 is just not going to get on the park, are they? Now, once again, really struck by the blandness of the hair. The blonde obviously stands out, but that's only because the other four are so ordinary. There's really nothing else standing out, so I'm stuck with the combination of the blonde hair and the ridiculousness of saying Hinteregger. It's really like our Australian egg boy egging Anning from behind. I think a Hinteregger is possibly what that's called in German when you display your protest against a Nazi by egging them from behind, Hinter being German for behind. So Hinteregger gets the call up. A goalkeeper would be nice, although usually the substitute goalkeeper is as good, if not better, than the first shot here. Neuer's the obvious easy choice, but the link with a Spanish player kind of works better for me if I'm going to have those, Varane there as the Spanish player. So even though a Barcelona player and a Real Madrid player doesn't seem to make sense, I think it's a better to have that orange line link there, because of green between Marcelo and Varane. Okay, let's get into the subs. CDM's still a weak spot, I think. So there's those goalkeepers that are better from the bench than the original was, so we're into the highest numbers being French and Premier League, which I don't really have any of. There's, really no other obvious choice, so Lloris, depending on what that other centre-back's going to be, Lloris seems to cover off two things that I don't have, be it France and the Premier League, so if I get a centre-back that is either of those, that gives me an option, I guess. Let's see what positions are thrown up here. Well, there's a centre-back that's neither of those, not French, but Bobby Moore is going to be hard to pass up. Slow pace, but I think the pace is going to come from the wingers and that width of formation, so if I whack him in there, look at that, plus 15. Once again, the icons linking with all other players around them helps immensely, and the chemistry is already at 90. Just trying to bring up the chemistry. The weak link at the moment is that left midfielder up there, my first choice, the Liverpool Senegal player, who doesn't seem to match anybody and is out of position, so may not have been the best choice, but yeah, you're starting blind, what do you do? Alrighty, another fantastic centre-back that I often choose, but at what cost? He's worse than both of the centre-backs I have, so then it opens up a left-back who's really not going to be better than Marcelo there. The idea possibly is to play Mendy as a left-back and move Marcelo up into the left midfield role and really bomb forward with him. That's appealing in many ways. Kimmich to replace in there might work. No, because the right back, it would already only link with that central midfielder, Yeah, I can't really make a case for Kimmich there on a Bayern Munich Germany link. I'll put Mendy in there just with that half-baked idea of pushing Marcelo further forward. My central defensive midfielders really need help. That's a key now. So Carvalho would link in with that right back. So that's sort of the default for now. Right midfield, I'm not replacing Pulisic with Rodriguez. Douglas Costa is a more natural left midfielder, suits well with the Brazilian connection on that left side. Okay, I'll do that, which is still now limiting my chances of getting a decent central defensive midfielder. That's really what I'm stuck on, and I need two of them, and none of these are going to do it. And in terms of hair, it's probably just because he's better lit than everybody else, but Zurutuza, I'm going to have to work out how to say that. I might put him in just to hear Martin Tyler say his name. So we've got a little bit of strength in name more than hair this time. Another 5. Okay. So Team of the Year Messi is clearly going to be impossible to pass up. But I don't have a right wing slot. I purposely picked a formation that doesn't include right wingers, and here I go getting possibly the best right winger I could have got. I'll take him because there's no central defensive midfielders in the rest, and I've already got a good striker. So look, maybe Messi will end up being the striker. Let's just slot him in there to see what that does. It's a -4 for chemistry, but it's an 8-point improvement. Not really a target man, but again, you've got these compromises you have to make, and I like playing within restrictions. When you play the normal making your own ultimate team, you're playing really only in the restrictions of how much time and how much money you're going to spend on this, whereas here you've got 5 choices and that's it, and sometimes you're going to have sub-ultimate outcomes, but then you've got to make that work on the pitch. I'm probably going to have to play low balls into Messi, or maybe get Littmanen to be more of an attacking player and have Messi drop deeper to collect the ball. Look, the hair of Batshuayi, I can't say it, Batshuayi is an obvious favourite here. This one reminds me of a good friend I used to play basketball with, so shout out to Marcel. I do kind of like that. Whereas that expression is very much a who ate all the pies answer for you right there, I think. So maybe we'll go with the right winger that will never play, but we'll be happy on the bench, getting a mouthful. Again, this is why I usually pick those formations with the right wingers, left wingers in there. There's just more players rated highly in those positions. I still don't have a central defensive midfielder. There's no point picking a right winger at this stage. Left midfield I seem to have covered too. I haven't put Costa up there yet, but will. Look, there's nobody here that I'm actually going to use. Injury backup, but in 4 games nobody's really ever going to get injured. Really no reason. Look, take Suso for no reason at all. I'm not even... Yeah, there didn't seem to be any reason to pick any of those. Even less so here. So we're down to hair. I do like the beast mode braids hanging out of a jersey, Lynch style from the Seahawks. Ings looks like they got him just before or just after he blinked, but look, let's go with Sanchez and little shades of Marshawn Lynch. So my midfield is looking terrible. Really not going to have any solutions here at the moment. Central midfielder from Spain is probably not going to help. too much. So he's Spanish, but he plays in Italy, so that link will be possibly okay on that right hand side. There's a couple of players to link with, but it's a pretty dire situation when that's all I've got going for me there in midfield. I'll pop him in because there are not too many cards left to try and fix that midfield. So linking between the very strong defense into offense is going to be tough. Alrighty, the silver pack. There's always one silver pack, usually useless. The hair is again completely uninspiring. There's elements of the Westworld character there, so maybe we'll put him there, and I see nothing at all in particular. I'm sure I've butchered that quote. Last card, and there is not a central defensive midfielder. There is a central midfielder of dubious quality. There's the wrong Clivert. An icon Clivert may have been nice. So, how do we rescue this? We can push a centre back up into those central defensive roles. We can push a left back into those central defensive roles. I wonder if I can. No, I can't swap players around before doing this. So, look, I don't feel good about picking Hervides. I don't think I want to play him anyway. So we'll pick a central midfielder, and we'll see what we can do in the shuffle. This has been very challenging with the new formation of trying to fit people in. So what were some of the ideas I had? I had the idea of an actual left midfielder in the left midfield role. A couple of Brazilians centered around each other, and have a look at the stats here. It's a very strongly defensive, physical kind of a defender. Okay, and if you can get rid of the ball quickly to that left midfielder and left back, then maybe we'll be okay. This side is terrible. This was a sort of, yeah, just a joke to join up with the Dortmund player. So my best midfielder to put in there ruins the chemistry. The attempt at some Portuguese chemistry doesn't really improve, but he does seem to be a better overall player looking at the stats. How could we get inventive there? Now, left backs played completely out of position, don't help. There's no centre backs I can drag forward. Goalkeeper's out of position to get really crazy. Now that might be fun to play Hugo Lloris in there. I wonder, his stats don't step across to see what his stats equal out to be. Like obviously his handling is going to be irrelevant out in the outfield. I wonder what his passing and so on stats are. Might be worth having some fun with playing a goalkeeper out there just for the lack of other players. Now we're on the right hand side as a right winger. Again, no better chemistry. I really stuffed myself in this draft in terms of a midfield. And it's going to have to be basically the best available player for the position, and stuff chemistry. Hasn't gone particularly well, but that happens, and you can only have to live with it for 10 seconds. I can completely start a new draft, putting those 15,000 coins aside, and go for a better draft. But I'm going to see it through. I'm going to play a few games with the very strong defensive line and see if we can't get the ball up to Messi to do his thing from some delivery from out wide. We'll see how it goes.